Hi, it's Jeff Pulver. Welcome to our LinkedIn Live, and I am so honored to have Rich Tehrani with me today. And we're going to be talking about IT Expo 2026. And truly, it's been a long time. We've both been having fun with the internet and the communications. And Rich, first of all, congratulations for what looks to be an amazing show.
Oh, thanks so much, Jeff. It's really an honor and pleasure to be on your program. I'm looking forward to it.
And so for when you look at the last 5 years, 10 years in communications and IT Expo, what has changed the most? Has it been the introduction to AI from a strategy that every company is trying to figure out? Is it like what? And I guess with that, what do you love about this stuff? Where's your passion with this?
Jeff, I'm going to say this is probably the thing that excites me most about what we're doing. We both have been involved in the conference business and IP communications for more than 25 years, right? Whatever the
This
number
is
is.
true. This is all true.
And a lot of people told us, Jeff, they told you, they told me in the beginning that this is like hobbyist nonsense, ham radio, garbage. It's not for companies. And, carriers will never use it. And it's just, what are you doing? It's not something to have a show about. It's not something that, when I launched Internet Telephony Magazine, they told me categorically when I was at a show called Comdex back in the day, this is a joke. No one uses this stuff. What are you doing? It's not going to be for companies. And, we got over that hump in, let's say, by 2008, 2010, somewhere around there, everyone realized you could do it. But it was only for, some remote workers. You can never build a business on this stuff. Like you could never operate a company fully remote with all this. So it just wouldn't work. And we were saying, you and I were saying, of course you could. The technology's there. We've proven it. It works. You can do it, of course. And then the pandemic hit, and then the entire group of technologies that you and I have been advocating and the events that we've been putting on for decades, all of the stuff that we would say on keynote stages and the people we would bring together and the things we would write in blogs and elsewhere came to be true. Everything we said, yes, you can have a remote company. Yes, you can use these tools. Yes, these tools work. Yes, you can do everything fully remote and you could do it full time and it wouldn't be an issue. And so we had a period of 3 months or 5 months or whatever it is during the pandemic where we were right for, not to pat ourselves on the back, but, we believed, we knew we were at these events. We saw the evolution of the technology. We spoke to people. We knew it was possible. And the culture, they told us, would never accept it. They would never accept video first meetings instead of face to face. You had to get on an airplane. You had to go. No, you had to go to China. You had to go to Australia. And we said, you could use video on the net, right? In your case, or IP communications. You could do it. You can work. And anyway, I'd say in the last 5 years, especially, that has made me very proud to be part of a community of technology enthusiasts, the guys who put all this stuff together that allow companies to be more productive and now more efficient, more profitable, come up with new services. So that's what really excites me.
Wow. And I'll say it was, it was 2003 and 2004. It was when I went through the time when I was petitioning for the Pulver order, not knowing it was going to come out. But I asked, it was in February 2003. With the help of Glenn Richards and Bruce Jacobs at the time, we asked the FCC for regulatory clarity. I was very paranoid back then that the phone companies would take away broadband and the whole greenfield opportunity of broadband and keep it for themselves because they had just lost out a big fight for where Wi-Fi was going because they put a lot of money into WiMAX and Wi-Fi kind of went to the consumer. And that I was reading the room and saying, we got to do something proactive. At least it can we? And so in February 2004, when that order came out, I was promoting end-to-end IP. That's kind of stuff like we're using StreamYard right now, and I'm using the broadcast onto LinkedIn. A lot of people were wondering why end-to-end IP, because like everyone was into telephone numbers and being able to be reached. And I think we were living in the future then. And then when the order came out and basically said that voice communication that originates on the broadband internet that doesn't touch legacy phone network is not telecom. I could not imagine living in the pandemic if people actually had to pay for video services, voice communication, like the way that people worked from home, studied from home, just dealt with their families and stuff. I mean, accidentally the whole rethink of end-to-end IP and how powerful it is, I think was transformational for at least during the pandemic. And as you said, these are tools that our friends have been building for years. And if you look at the stock price of Zoom during the pandemic, you'd think Zoom was a brand new company, when actually it was really an old company that was just discovered. And
right, Jeff. Like all of a sudden, investors discovered that you can communicate via the internet on video.
it's like, wow, I remember it was, I think, the 1964 World's Fair. According to what I found, is that's when AT&T introduced video calls. And I was born in '62, and I found out the Jetsons came out in '62. And so the whole idea, if you look at the Jetsons as a cartoon, but maybe a foreshadowing in the future, when you have no privacy with those intrusive videos, when George is getting a video in from his boss, basically Sprockets, and all these sort of nuanced things. No, we don't have flying cars. They don't collapse into briefcases, but we do have some of that video. And how many generations did it take for that video to become natural? Because it seems to be a certain generation now that's out there that natively will FaceTime with you, will communicate with video, when no one else, no matter how many billions of dollars was spent in advertising by all these vendors to get all of us to use it. No, it'd be our kids or kids' who actually do use it. And it's pretty ironic. And as you're saying, the Wall Street woke up that these, realizing this stuff just works. And, we need broadband, high-speed broadband, but really we need the innovators. And what I really like about ITEXPO is I walk around the show floor, I run into people that are doing great things from different places from around the world, and they're driven by their dreams. They're driven by the hope of being discovered, by finding a customer that validates them, and most importantly, by taking advantage of the presence of being there. And so that's why, while I'm really grateful to be speaking, I think I'm in 3 different sessions this year at ITEXPO, including talking about my current passion of virtualized conversations, or VCons. Really, it's being present. Look, being out of the Northeast and being in Florida in mid-February, it's not a bad thing. And then being around innovators of tomorrow, where you get to see what they're doing today, where people betting on their passion. I mean, to me, that's the best thing possible. So when you look at the show, and I saw that it's expanding, what motivates you, and how do you figure out like what areas to focus on? What drives that?
Well, it's been pretty clear for the last 4 years, 5 years, something like that, that AI is going to alter everything. And you've been a huge fan of disruption as long as I've known you. And if there's anything more disruptive than AI, I don't know what it is. Maybe IP. I think, Jeff, AI is even more disruptive. And so really AI, as it applies to everything, communications, IoT, cybersecurity. I with my team, we put together a tagline for the show this year. It's really the rise of the autonomous enterprise. And
really? I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. And so really the concept there is that the enterprise of the future is going to have more and more bots involved, agents involved with humans. And that's the future, where menial tasks are assigned to autonomous AI intelligence, and the results are going to just be produced. And there's going to be orchestration between the different bots, and that is the way companies are going to work in the future. Moreover, and this is probably the most important thing, there is a war right now between the SaaS companies, the business SaaS companies, of which there's trillions of dollars potentially of revenue out there that is being spent on various SaaS solutions. And we have vibe coding, we have AI coding. And so the capacity for companies to now reproduce subsets of technology that they pay a lot of money for. And, IP communications took off in part because of the ROI. It was a technology that took advantage of an arbitrage where you spent money on it, and as a result, you saved money, right? You save money on your phone bill. When IP communications started to take off, I was spending 25 cents a minute personally, business calls, to call 10 miles away. That's how it was in Connecticut. From Norwalk to Westport, it was 10 miles or 8 miles. I paid 25 cents a minute. And so obviously IP communications made a lot of sense in such an environment. AI's growth, and people say, "Oh, I don't know about AI; it's a bubble." Okay, you can't talk about specific valuations at a point in time because it's really you got to look at a trend. But we are replacing a lot, or we will be replacing a lot of SaaS applications. The SaaS companies are not sitting still; of course, they're evolving as well. The point is that companies have infinite flexibility that they didn't have before. If they want a feature, they build a feature. If they want something that works with their SaaS solution and enhances it, they build it. If they like the SaaS solution, they keep it, or they, whatever it is that they do. We haven't had this kind of flexibility. But the point is that there are a lot of applications. CRM, for example, I'm just going to throw that out as an example. I spend maybe $2,000 on a personal CRM license with one of the companies in the space, and I use 2% of the capability of the CRM.
Right.
I can vibe code really well. I used to be a coder, right? I spent years as a coder. Why am I spending $2,000 a year? And that's me. That's a microcosm of the future. Now take that and apply that to an event where we've got some of the largest companies on the planet coming to the show, looking to make purchasing decisions, from fast food companies, retail, travel, the largest organization that puts on the World Cup. Like they're coming to this show, they're making purchasing decisions, and they need to see all of these products in one place under one roof, like you said, at a really good time of year when it's warm. But I think just as importantly, Jeff, we're really in the budget cycle for most companies. Q1 is when decisions are made, shortlists are made. So everything comes together, everything comes under one roof. You come to ITEXPO, you bring your entire buying team, the person who makes IoT decisions, AI decisions, communications decisions, cybersecurity decisions, and there's a special pass with a reduced rate if you bring multiple people. And you basically learn everything you need to learn in a short amount of time. You network with your peers, you pick it all up, you go home, you implement, you become more profitable, you do better in your career, your company does better. I mean, it's just a win-win. And then the disruption cycle continues, and you and I are happy. And until the next event, until more disruption.
And I think embracing that disruption and running with it is really important. And as your passion for vibe coding is, I think it's vibe coding that's creating a renaissance in open source. Because if you look at being able to have access, because the vibe coding really can attach to any open GitHub. So all of a sudden you're looking at the stuff that's in production, and now you want to connect the dots, and you can do amazing things these days because almost every great platform has an open source version of it, or at least someone was thinking about it even before it went so mainstream. And it's incredible what we can do. And prioritizing that and finding, whether you create your own CRM for today, I mean, the weird part is that if you look at your cell phone, if you look at that contact directory on your phone, it was kind of based on the old Rolodex, almost like the old, if I remember growing up and my parents having a phone book or a personal phone directory that entered someone's name and phone number. And that's sort of all we have in our phones today. It's like, I've been blessed with like 10,000 contacts in my phone. When I go to ITEXPO, if I don't put some reference to meeting them at a certain place at a certain time, I'm losing them the moment I enter them into my phone, because there's no way to find it, because there's no geography. Phones today, the contact data, the contacts, right? There's no like date or time when I entered the name of the person. There's no physical location where I met them. There's no real context. Where it's the content and the context. So when we have the CRM tools, they do it. So why can't our phones do it? Like on a personal level, I hear to heart what you're saying about the rise of autonomous enterprises. Well, I keep on thinking of a line in a movie I sometimes hear, which is your agent should talk to my agent. That's usually because, Rich, you're the rock star of Hollywood, and somebody wants to sign you to a movie, and so it'll be your agent that talks to my agent from the studio. But let me tell you, I think it'll be really cool when the day comes when you have your own autonomous agents working for you doing personal stuff. Because I don't know if you've ever like had a doctor's appointment and was waiting test results and you're on hold and you had to talk to a human. You know what? I really would like to offset that to an AI that has my voice that can spend 92 minutes. Or if you're trying to reconcile a phone bill with a certain vendor and they're making you wait and wait and wait and wait. And so why not have the bot do that? It's a smart bot. It's not. And so that is my frustration. I mean, since the beginning of January, I've spent more time on hold than ever before attempting to resolve issues. And I'm saying, gee, my agent should talk to your agent, and it's okay if your agent doesn't know it's my agent. It just should be my voice with a set of rules to navigate. And why is life so hard? Because I do totally get and believe in the rise of the times. I think it's a wonderful catchphrase. I think it's really smart, and I love it. And I just would like to see in parallel for us consumers, because for me, I got into this whole world 95, whenever, and actually 94, because I was into CUCME at the time, and then as a ham operator, I was really fascinated with talking on the internet in 1995, and that's what led to me creating this phone patch network called Free World Dial-Up I did in October of 95. But that was a hobbyist. That was for fun. There was no business model. There was no business at all. It was just fun. And when I ran into that unique opportunity to start doing events, came out of my passion to bring together the world of the internet and the world of communication from my world. But I knew nothing about telecom. I'm the first to admit it. And it was fun, but I did it anyway. And then, yeah, it was wonderful to see all these carriers show up, validate what we're real, and grow it. And AI, if you're a scientist, bots and chatbots are not a new thing. There was research done many, many, many years ago, but it's the commercialization of it. And I'll just have to thank OpenAI for creating a term, right? LLM. I think an LLM is probably in 2025 the most overhyped, misunderstood phrase in the history of mankind. I mean, because you say ChatGPT, you say LLM, most people will nod. If you ask them to tell you what does it mean, it doesn't matter. They know it, and the challenge we have is they know it, and now it has to live up to something. But when I heard how many people are paying for professional, versions of ChatGPT, just that. I mean, I'm not endorsed by that company. I'm just saying it just changes it changes business, right? So when you're looking at agentic AI and businesses running by it, and the thing is, if your business isn't doing it, your competition is, right? You can't assume that everyone's going to take a slow road to it. So I'm really passionate about this, and I think that when we look at how these worlds collide in a good way, it drives innovation, it drives streamers, it drives things to do things never before. And I recently was trying to explain that when you problem solve, it's like, imagine you have a bag full of Lego blocks, and all of a sudden, a new Lego block shows up that fits in a way that none of your other pieces fit. And by connecting that, all of a sudden, you got to the aha, now I could do that. And that's kind of what I'm seeing, how, like, when you're talking about the rise of the autonomous enterprise, that all of a sudden we can now build companies, and the company's IT departments can now put those new Lego blocks into their infrastructure and rely on it to do things they just never could do before.
It's a very exciting time. And again, companies, if you look at some of the biggest investments being made by some of the smartest venture capitalists like Andreessen Horowitz, they're putting a lot of money right now into startups that are going after businesses that are traditional businesses, non-AI businesses, but where the startup can disrupt them by reducing the cost dramatically, using AI and basically stealing market share, because that seems like a massive, massive opportunity for all of us. And so for all, as we look at the market, for all of us to view and behold, if the incumbent companies, and pretty much every company that's been around for more than 5 years is an incumbent company, if you are not doing the same thing, trust me, there is billions and billions of dollars being invested right now, not just in the AI data centers, which are going to make it possible, but then on top of that, a layer of intelligence where startups are trying to take your market share by undercutting you and maybe giving 80% of the functionality, in some cases at 20% of the cost, or whatever their models are. They are going to take your market share. If you're not ready for it, if you're not doing the same thing, if you're not either reducing your costs or moving adjacently or into an adjacency where you can grow your business, because you're going to lose some margin, you're going to lose some revenue, you're going to have a lot of challenges. And by the time you realize it, it's too late. And that's why you've got to go to events, whether it's this event, shows like yours, Jeff, your VCon events, whatever it is. Go to events, work with your peers, study, learn, stay up to date. It's good for your career. It's good for your bottom line. It's good for the longevity of your business. If you're not doing it, this is the most disruptive time. Jeff, you're the king of disruption. Would you argue that this is the
I don't
most
know.
disruptive?
I agree with you. And by the way, there probably are people who never would believe you and I would share a conversation, let alone do a LinkedIn Live and stuff. But the reality is I've been a big fan of yours since a long time ago, and I think
Likewise.
positive disruption thank you. Positive disruption drives business. And I can tell you this, it's three words I learned back in the early days of On: fear, greed, and disruption. That when incumbents are fearful of new companies starting up, they're going to about to be disrupted. What are they going to do? I remember they went to their old lobbyists and they tried to invoke laws from like a long time ago to stop the innovation. When that didn't happen, they looked to put new laws in place to prevent things from taking place. And it's when you have this positive disruption that changes the ecosystem of the past to bring forth an opportunity for the future. It's an amazing golden time to live in. And while some people were around for the dot-com bubble and the burst, let me tell you, it did not affect the communication space the way you'd think the dot-com crash affected companies, because we're on the peripheral of that. We're at that intersection. And now, yeah, there may be an AI bubble brewing, but let me tell you, the stuff that people are going to see at ITEXPO, it's not going to go away. Maybe someone's valuation goes down, but the core shift is already underway, and there's no going back from that. I don't think. I think we're just going to go into the future. And so this is the new opportunity to figure out, to define what you want to do and how do you want to do it. And for those of you going to be at ITEXPO, I'll be there too. I'm very grateful to ITEXPO to give the VCon Foundation a booth, and we'll be there, and I'll be in sessions. And please reach out to us. And for people who don't know how to get to ITEXPO to sign up to get into the show, what's the best website to go to, Rich?
Just very simply, the name of the show, ITEXPO.com, is February 10th through 12th. It's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's really close to Miami. For those people that need to fly into that airport, you can fly into Fort Lauderdale. Flights are still relatively inexpensive. It's going to be a very cold January, it looks like. So, start making your plans now. This is an opportunity for you. Maybe spend the weekend in Florida, like a lot of people do. The weekend's going to actually be Valentine's Day, so that's another potential reason to come down and maybe bring a spouse and just spend some time, learn, and improve your business, improve your career, and make more money. I mean, more profitability. That's the name of the game. And then enjoy the disruption, because it's only going to get more disruptive.
There you go. Rich, thank you so much for joining. I look forward to seeing you in person. And thanks for joining us today on our LinkedIn Live.
Thank you, Jeff.